Hi. I'm sorry for the delay. I had some technical difficulties. It's very nice to see you all. I think that now that my internet connection is solid, we can start the class. First of all, how are you? Yeah, I'm much better, thank you, and I'm really happy that you are fine as well. Uh, Life in Budapest is getting a bit better, so people they can get out. But this is our last class. This is our last class, and I wanted it to be something special, but technical difficulties they came up. So what's really interesting is what have we learned in these almost 2 months of quarantine and home office and distant learning. Today's class is going to be 30 minutes long, and it's going to involve a kind of summarization of these 2 months regarding the information society, the new media, mostly its practices. So it's really nice to see you all, and this was my most interactive class. So kudos for that, and I hope that next semester is going to be much better. And if you decide to come back to Budapest, you are going to have some good time. What we have learned during these 2 months of crisis is going to be today's topic. Uh, First of all, somehow this coronavirus situation crystallized the fact that info communication society, that information society is here to stay, and not only to stay, then this is going to influence all aspects of our lives. First dimension what we have to talk about is digitalization. Digitalization was at first present in the use of communication devices, computers, smartphones, but also some services that we use on daily basis. So there is not a big difference between use of social media and use of online banking system. Never before in history has been such a conversion where our everyday lives depend on one technology. I don't want to bother you so much with theory. Michel, Michel Tomasello, a scholar, a researcher, said that they are three cognitive habits of people. A natural one, which was common in times before writing and printing later appeared. Uh, a cognitive habit that is typical for the world of printed books, Gutenberg Galaxy, and today's uh, cognitive habit regarding the information society. So what we are living in now is basically a new world where not only communication and media is wandering and traveling around networks. Then we have one common network, and that network is influencing our complete society. What does it mean? One common, one global network. Never before was it possible for actually everyone on the planet who has free access to internet and access to free internet, right, to be able to use the same services. Schools in Spain, in Portugal, in France, in Germany, in Turkey are able to use same Microsoft, same Google services and platforms. Never before was it allowed. For example, before the fall of Berlin Wall, countries on the East Bloc, like Hungary, Czechoslovakia, even Yugoslavia, weren't able to buy computers, for example. There was a list called COCOM list, which actually involved a lot of countries from Eastern Europe, and these countries weren't able to buy any computers because they were all prohibited. So the Western countries wouldn't sell them. Nowadays, it's completely different. So what are we doing here is that in this globalized world, we are using services of an American company in Europe to make somehow education work. And what's also interesting is that these services are basically free. So those who doubt that information society and info communications development has led to positive outcomes, they can see now how in this special situation we were able, at least this is my Hungarian example, to maintain order and to make our schools work. 20 years ago, it wouldn't be possible. I don't think it would be possible 10 years ago. What did we need for that? We needed, first of all, the devices that surround us. Nowadays, having a laptop is not a luxury. Every student that enters university has got more or less at least an access to a laptop. Also, having your personal smartphone, which can be used in education, is something quite completely normal nowadays. And as we know, the networks, internet, the wide bandwidth that surrounds us. I was just looking, where does it surround us? Is here, and it makes us able to do some home office. For example, in Hungary, a lot of companies they manage to provide home office for their workers, employees, and here we can see how this new information society is basically built on different jobs than the previous industrial one. We talked about Industry 4.0, so let's talk about a world of work and learning and studies in information society. So what's really important here is that the jobs are changing. First, we huge companies thought that it would be smart and clever to have everything produced in Asia because it's much cheaper and the profit is higher. And also, there were a lot of jobs in tourism and so on, which required people. But nowadays, we can see the huge changes that are on the way. And these changes are, while influencing the way how people work. So those who were using computers already before the crisis, they were able to switch, to change, not immediately, but almost easily to make a transition to home office, from where you could work using your info communication devices. Teaching, for example, medicine. A lot of doctors, they practice medicine in Hungary through video conferences. Also, now people started thinking, some stakeholders, how education can profit from the experience gathered during these 2 months. Best practices and bad examples. So there are two universes in education. This is one of my fields of research. That's why I'm explaining so much about it. There are two different two really different worlds. Uh, one of those is a world where the normal traditional education happens in schools, in classrooms. It's a frontal education where you are sitting opposite to your teacher professor, and you are taking part in lectures in a passive way. And there is another now developing way of education where you are not sitting in front of your teacher, where you make a group with your peers, the peer-to-peer technology, which you maybe don't know so well, but you're working in teams, you're working in groups, you are using cloud-based platforms and storages, and you are becoming a prosumer where you make a content and not only consume it. So but these two universes, they exist separately and parallelly, and sometimes they collide. Now they have collided, right? And this collision has brought to surface some issues. How, for example, we all need digital competences in order to be involved into teaching using info communication devices, basically digital pedagogy. So these competences are needed from both from instructors and both from students. For example, uncontrolled use of smartphones during classes and inappropriate use. I mean, when the devices aren't used for a specific pedagogical purpose, doesn't help at all the teaching process. It draws you further from getting the knowledge. So when in schools you use devices, you should have your agenda, your plan, what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it using smartphones. The bring your own device expression is you're familiar with you. In education, it means the students, they can bring your own devices and they can use it for learning. So it's a new paradigm. You cannot force students to have smartphones to be used in education. What you can do is at the beginning of the school year to say that you should buy these and these textbooks, and you should have a bag where you carry your stuff, pencils, pens, notebooks, and so on. But you cannot make them buy their own laptop, but still they have them. You cannot make them buy smartphones only for education, but still they have them. And these devices, they belong to the mainstream, of info communication, and they can be used for several things, not only for learning. So if the learning process is not carefully designed, students will get bored. Or the way I teach now frontally is maybe not the best one, but in these circumstances, maybe this is the only one we can actually make work, because one of the issue is that I cannot make anyone turn on the camera and ask to others to be let in each other homes. This is a serious issue as well. And what's trending in United States, for example, in distant education is when you write a test, like a written exam, not only you have to have your camera, this one, right, this one, turned on, then you should put your smartphone somewhere here, which shows your screen and what you are doing on the keyboard as well. So So there are some solutions that are practiced now in order to prevent cheating uh, and so on. But next semester is going to be really, really, really interesting. So we are going to see how teaching continues, and it would be great to do a research if you are interested in just a thought how education has changed, or how the world where we work in has changed, how the ways of working have changed during these 2 months. I have been fortunate and I have not lived during times of war, real war, serious wars. But I can imagine that a war can make changes like these. In Second World War, for example, when we entered Second World War, the world, the technology wasn't as developed as at the end, where we already had rockets and supersonic uh, airplanes, fighting jets. So in 6 years, the world has changed. Now we can see how the world has changed in 2 months using info communication, using new media, for example. Uh, what's happening is that yesterday news is that Facebook is drafting a team which is going to supervise information on Facebook, and a lot of judges and prominent representatives of their professions are going to be there, and they are going to, well, see if the freedom of the speech is appropriately represented on Facebook, and if hate speech is banned. So we are going to see a lot of argument. But what we are seeing is that world is changing. Can you imagine 20 years ago that your university, your school would say that, okay, for teaching purposes, we should use a private channel, an application that is not approved by the school, rather it is used by millions. I have some colleagues who use Facebook chat, who use Facebook books, I'm sorry, groups for teaching. Others, they use Google Books to provide you with the literature. So everything we have been doing in informal teaching and in everyday lives has suddenly been involved in the process of teaching. So changes are enormous, and we shall see what's going to happen in couple of months, in couple of years. Maybe people will get fed up and say, this technology is too much work for me, I don't really want to use it anymore, I just want to go into a classroom. In Hungary, the Hungarian Student Association, University Student Association, did a survey where they were interested in if the students like this distant learning and they want to continue using it from September. And some 70% said that they wouldn't, they want to go back to classroom. Why is it important? First of all, this was a surprise for me, because a lot of students, they love it that they don't have to go to school, right? Because you can save time, you can save money, you can save the planet as well. You can go green, reduce your carbon footprint if you don't have to travel so much. But nevertheless, people are social beings, so the expression social distancing works, well, sounds really bad. It's not really music to my ears. And we want to have friends, we want to form some groups, we want to meet in person, we want to make a community, form a community. This was my huge speech for the finale, and I already received some questions from some of you regarding the essay. I have set the date to 13th of May. This is the official date, 13th of May, to hand in your essay. If you need more time, please contact me and I will figure out something how to help you. You can do it in pairs, the essay. If you have any questions, please feel free to answer them. The topics are in Google Classroom, but now I'm going to copy them in here as well. Just a sec. Okay, maybe it's the best if I shared it in here. These are the topics. One of the first posts you can do it per mail, but maybe it's easier to upload it to Google Class. So please upload it to Google Class. Yes. Just answered it. How many pages? Well, I just have to go back. Can anyone remember? It wasn't more than 7. Yeah, around 7,000, 7K characters with spaces. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Andrea. And please use references. Thank you. Thank you very much. If there are no more questions, if you wish, we can schedule a Zoom meeting for next week. I know this is the end of semester, but if you have any questions, please send me a message so I can schedule a Zoom meeting for those who are not sure what to write in the essay, how to write it, or just have any issues or second thoughts about the topics. So write me a message if you want to have a joint Zoom meeting or personal Zoom meeting, whatever. Thank you very much for being here. It was astonishing how you all from different countries managed to be from different time zones at the same place, same time, and we worked together so nicely. Somehow we managed to overcome these hardships that coronavirus uh, meant to us, and we are trying to fight it off. So thank you very much for being here, and hope to see you again in Budapest. Goodbye.